What up, YouTube? It's your boy Big Cool coming to you from Big Cool Entertainment, and today I'm here with another Walking Dead video. In today's video, I will focus on Glenn and what we seen from a scene last night in last night's episode of The Walking Dead. As you all know, Rick and the crew launched the attack on Negan and the Saviors, brutalizing everybody. They killed pretty much everybody in that section of the Saviors' place of where they live. I mean, they stabbed him, they shot him. I mean, it was brutal, it was bloody, and this is the start of a brutal war that is brewing and has been brewing since, you know, some of Negan's people confronted Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham, and, you know, were blown to smithereens by Daryl with the rocket launcher. Rick and his crew are desperate. They made a deal with Gregory in the hilltop of if they can protect the hilltop from Negan and the Saviors, that Gregory and the hilltop will give them food. And Maggie facilitated the deal, and it's just gonna be bad and brutal for all parties involved. When you go to war, there are casualties on both sides, and that's something you have to deal with and be prepared to live with. And I just feel that Glenn, I don't know, I feel that I want to feel that the writers are you know, faking us out, because they play with our emotions earlier in this season with episode 3, Thank You, where everybody thought that Glenn was dead, but he wasn't. You know, Nicholas shot himself when they were surrounded on top of the dumpsters by, had to be about 50 to 75 walkers. Glenn fell underneath Nick, you know, which caused him to be protected when the zombie started to rip into Nick, who was already dead at that time. So Glenn was able to, climb underneath the dumpster to safety. He had to kill a few, walkers who was trying to get to him, but after he did that, you know, he was pretty much safe. But it's kind of tricky, man, because it seems like you're foreshadowing a few people's death. Abraham, who, you know, broke up with Rosita last night. Morgan kind of hasn't been and seen this much as much in the second half of this season. You also got Daryl, who's up there with Glenn in terms of people, in terms of the candidates who are likely to get killed off by Negan once he makes his appearance in the season 6 finale. But I think that Glenn and how he reacted last night. I know he made his first official non-zombie kill in the whole series last night. He didn't want to, and it shook him up real bad. He was crying like you would thought that somebody close to him had died. He had to, stab 2 guys in their sleep. He along with Heath, both guys didn't want to do it. And Glenn, being the great person that he is, stopped Heath from doing something that he was going to have to live with for the rest of his life. And he just went ahead and did it. He did the first one, he might as well do that one. And he did, but while he was in that room, whoever the guys they killed or he killed, they collected photos. I don't know if they were Negan's, photographer, or they just admired his work, or whatever it may be. But I just feel that, those pictures were brutal. Obviously, there were pictures of people's face being burnt or beaten by Negan and his bat, Lucille. And we all know that Glenn gets the bat in the comic book series, but we also know that the writers of The Walking Dead are known to switch deaths. They switch Andrea's death, and she, in the comic book, she's still alive. In the TV series, she was killed off in the season 3 finale. And, Dale got killed off, even though he was still alive for a big part, in the comic book series. So they're definitely known to switch things up, but I just feel that Glenn may get it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he doesn't get it, but I don't want to see Daryl get it either. But it just seems like those two are being foreshadowed the most and being, looked at as the guys who can potentially get it. But we could be reading so much into it, too much into it, that they could go with Morgan, they could go with Abraham, they could go with whoever it may be. I doubt it's a woman, because that would be brutal to have Negan, beat a woman with a barbed wire bat. But I just think that Glenn, every time he's in one of these situations, it always feels like he's close to death in each and every supply run, each and every war. I mean, he's a good guy. He's always trying to save people. And, he'll go the extra mile to save people. And I just feel like, you know, he's escaped death. Excuse me, I can't talk. It seems like, but he's escaped death so many times that you have to wonder if he's put back in a situation where he has to choose to help somebody or save his own ass. You have to figure that he's gonna do what he always does and try to help, and it's gonna end up costing him. Like I said, I don't want to see Glenn get Lucille or Daryl, but Glenn looking at those photos definitely fucked with his mind. He was definitely traumatized, along with having to kill, two sleeping men who, are a product of their environment now in this zombie apocalypse world, and they're just, you know, following rules from Negan. Although they didn't have any interactions because they were sleeping, still you have to feel for them because, you know, they didn't know anything about Rick and his crew, and they didn't expect to get killed. But when you're competing for food, land, things that will help you or key for you to survive, you know, things that happen. But I think that Glenn may get it. It just seemed like a lot of more foreshadowing his death. He comes, not face to face with it, but he comes looking at it. It had to be about 20 pictures on the wall where victims who were beaten to death by Lucille, and it's pretty shocking. And I think that that's something we have to pay attention to as the show keeps going on this season. But those are just my thoughts. I just thought that was kind of eerie for Glenn and people who love Glenn and what he brings to the show. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I'm starting to think that the writers will stick to the comic book storyline and have Glenn meet his fate or his untimely demise or unwanted demise at the hands of Negan, because Rick and the crew have really been showing their ass and kind of losing sight of who they are. Although they need food, they want food, and it's needed, but they're not thinking in their right mind. And I'll touch on that in another video I might post later today. But like I said, I think that last night's episode with Glenn, in the room, looking at all the pictures of the Negan victims, I think there's more foreshadowing that he could very well be the victim that Negan decides to, make to set an example by to show Rick and the crew that he's not playing. But like this video, subscribe to Big Cool Entertainment. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Who do you think it will be? Glenn, Daryl, Morgan, Abraham, somebody else. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.